We begin this hour, though, with President Trump's fight with NATO allies over Greenland. The president insists the U.S. needs to bolster its national security by taking over the island, which has belonged to Denmark for centuries now. But his ambitions are facing strong opposition from European allies in NATO. Donald Trump is now doubling down by threatening those countries with new and higher tariffs. Joining us now is former Republican Senator, that's Bailey Hutchison, there she is, who was U.S. Ambassador to NATO during Donald Trump's first term. Ambassador, it's good to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while. Always good to have you here on our air.
Thank you, Gayle. It is great to be with you.
Well, you know, the president floated this idea during his first term when you were the U.S. Ambassador about he wanted Greenland back then. What was your reaction then, and what is your reaction now, and what do you think about how he's handling it?
Certainly, it was a surprise when I was there that he said we were going to buy Greenland, and I had a good visit with the Danish ambassador, and they wanted to work with us. The Danes said, we know that we can't do everything that needs to be done. We want America as our partner. And also, the Danes have turned down efforts by China to have assets in Greenland. They had, back then, been asked during the Belt and Road Initiative by China to put Greenland in it. And they said no. So I think now we do have more security issues. There are more, we know that there are Russian submarines that have gotten into the Atlantic Ocean, and it is a security issue for us and for Europe. And now I think the president is setting a stage, and he will sit down with the Europeans, with the Danes, with the Greenlanders, and work something out that will increase the security significantly, working with them, I hope.
Well, the president has made the suggestion of using the military. What's your reaction to that? Do you think that's a good idea? And how he's handling it this time around?
I think the idea of military against our NATO allies is not going to happen. I think that what he is doing clearly is setting the stage for the security requirement, which is real, and his way of negotiating is to open with a salvo and then sit down and talk about it. He's even said that he will be open to negotiation. Well, of course he will. And I think that this will be settled. I think that we will have more assets in Greenland, which I think is the right thing to do. And I think we'll do it with the cooperation of the Danes, the Greenlanders, and all of NATO.
Madam Ambassador, it's Vlad. You served as U.S. Ambassador to NATO at a moment when the alliance was openly being questioned from within. So what do Americans need to understand about the importance of NATO and why U.S. leadership, specifically within the alliance, is not just a matter of Europe's security, but America's security as well?
Absolutely. That is a great question. NATO is essential for our security and to keep everything in the North Atlantic, Canada, as well as our European allies together for leverage purposes. We are the biggest economies in the world altogether, and the Europeans know that we have the assets, that we have the industrial base to be the linchpin of security, of a security umbrella for all of us. They know that, and they want to work with us. And I think they are a valuable ally. They're not like us. They don't assess a risk and then immediately begin to deter against that risk. But when we work with them, they will come around to our position, as we did with China. We said when I was at NATO, China is a potential adversary for the future, and we must begin deterrence against their activities. The Europeans were surprised, but then they came around when we showed the different things that had happened in China with our intelligence, and they understood, and they came with us and declared, all of NATO declared that China was a potential adversary.
Ambassador, this is Kelly here. I do want you to put your senator hat on for a second, because a number of your former colleagues have pushed back against this idea. But you did at the beginning lay out the security concerns, though you're against military intervention here. So what would be your advice to those folks that used to be in the same position as you?
Well, I think the senators talk to the president, but they don't talk publicly. There's much more Senate president dialogue than we know, because the president doesn't want to be in a public spat with senators, but he does listen to them. And he has very strong supporters in the Senate, and they do tell him the truth. And they tell him they're very pro-NATO. They understand the importance of allies for the United States, and they tell him that. And I think it's a good relationship, and I think there's a lot more going on in that regard than is out in the public.
Wouldn't we all like to be in the room
Yes.
when those conversations happen? Ambassador Hutchison, thank you for your time today.